All right, now I've been wanting to do a Messa di Voce in honor of Joshua Quixada. You know, we lost him, and he was a magnificent young tenor, and he sort of owned crescendo de crescendo. And I've waited a good while now, but now I'd like to show you sort of what I did to get him so he could do that, and I hope I can make it clear so that everyone can learn to do that. First of all, I have to repeat over and over and over, this requires deep breathing in your lower back. With your stomach going in, not out. If it goes out, it puts my voice in my nose, and I have to do something in my throat. So if I can pull in and breathe in, I go, and now I can just sing with my throat absolutely loose. I'm not doing anything. I can snore. So you start with a really loose throat. Now, the next requirement is to find the smallest sound you can make. And it really is something. The men can find it from the falsetto. You're not be able to hear some of these. You want to be able to come back to that little teeny weeny sound that you started with. So the whole trick is the teeny sound at the beginning, because it requires that I hold my breath a certain way. I breathe like man, go. Now imagine all that breath packed up, and now I'm going to go. You got to find out what you can do without it cracking. A lot of guys start and try to make that soft. And when they come back, it invariably cracks. All right? So we've got to start in the right place. A lot of people think, Richard Tucker said, as close to the falsetto as you can get. Well, what does that mean? Right? Who knows? The mystery of these great singers. Who knows? They live in another planet. I don't know. He used to say, he's saying magnificent high note. And he'd say, see, the voice does nothing. The breath does everything. But how? How did the breath do it? Well, that's the whole trick. So I'm going to take a deep breath that really fills up my lower back. I'm trying to breathe like my buttocks are balloons. I'm trying to really breathe low. And if this were yoga, I'd be aiming for my tailbone. I'm trying to get in my deepest, most lowest, far back chakra. So I go. Then I'm all puffed up. I'm going to blow the wall down. And you know what? I'm going to make my smallest sound now. That I can. So I'm going to find my falsetto if necessary. And you know, I'm an old geezer now. I'm 82, and I find I have little problems with certain things. I used to be able to do them when I was younger, and the pitch didn't wander. And now I don't. Whoop, what pitch was that? You know, so, but the principle, the mechanic, the biomechanics of it are the same for the old geezer as they are for the young singer. It's just that one is going to have more success with it than the other. That's all. And then the understanding has a lot to do with it. But it's not a mystery. It really is getting the thing organized to make your tiniest sound, which requires that you hold your breathing in a certain way. If I blow my breath out, I can't do it. It gets it in totally the wrong position. So I have to breathe in a way when I go. My larynx is going down. I'm not lowering my larynx like that. You know, I can't do it that way either. And I get all that tracheal resonance, and it's distorted. So I have to find some way to breathe that lowers my throat. Let's not say larynx. The larynx will get caught up in the suction of the whole thing, and the larynx will start going down. But what you're really doing is opening the throat vertically, not yawning and all of spreading. That's spreading. So what I want to do is do this and go. Now I breathe way down in my lower back, and I pull my stomach in to add compression. I go, and then I go. So the idea is to get the breath right, and then you can do this stuff. I always nag everybody, desperately, hysterically. I'm nagging everybody. Breathe, 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 breathe. Because when I was a young singer, all the great singers talked about nothing but breathing. If you read Caruso's little book with 32 pages, it mentions breathing 60 times. That's the way the singers were when you talked to them live. You know? Well, you know, Dame Joan, how do you sing? Well, you know, darling, I mean, you know, you must get the breath way down low in the back, you know. So what? You know, she said in a master class, somebody said, how do you breathe? She said, well, I don't know if I shall say this in public, but I breathe up my rectum. Well, everybody went, oh my God, what's this? You know, you got to learn how to breathe way down. The more yoga you take, the better you will do, because yoga opens the mind to the awareness of what they call the chakras, which are the points of meditation. Once you have them, you can do them anywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter. Here's one. Doesn't matter. Once I get my breath attached and I've got my compression and I've done what I'm supposed to do, I can do these crescendo decrescendos on any chakra. Right? Breathe. Look at that. Heart chakra, right here. What have I said now? Over and over and over. Breathe, 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 breathe. If you don't pack, my old teacher was Olga Reese, you know, she was a Russian. She would say, pack it in, pack it in. You got to get the breath packed in. It's got to get way down in the low place, that when you get that much activity and you got all that pulling down like that, your throat just lets go. Your throat just goes like this. See? That's why snoring is a good exercise. You get so you can do anything with volume control. Just don't overblow. If you overblow, you can't get back to the soft voice. So that means you're giving too much, right? There's an old rule: give 1/3 of your voice and don't overblow. Well, some people give a half and get away with it for a long career. The truth is, you get older and stronger, your muscles get stronger, you can sing some monster tones. And believe me, I've heard some monster tones in my life out of Victor Nilsson, Richard Tucker, Mario Delmonico. And these Delmonico sang Otello 467 times, never had a vocal problem. He had a voice like a cannon, right? But he could do mezzo voce. Listen to him do that death scene from Otello. He could still do his mezzo voce. It was amazing, really. And Tucker was master of it. So was Corelli. Corelli had a fabulous mezzo voce. Now, Corelli in a master class, somebody said, how do you always talk about the open throat? How do you get your throat open? So he went like this. And it went on and on and on and on. And then finally he said, now you understand? And everybody went, no, right? What do you do when you go? Oh, now the women can go, oh, if they can hook that head voice underneath the chest voice and get it way down in the bones, down below, oh. Right? You get so you can do it in the head voice better than we can do it, right? Mr. Verdi knew that and wrote some really fantastic pianissimo singing in Aida and Trovatore, some of those operas. And you got to have that ability. But look how you must be packed up. Pack it up. You got to get your breath like this. Oh. really got to practice, 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 practice. And I've heard live UC Beerling do it on a high C. Start pianissimo, crescendo, and come back. Di Stefano had that when he was young, when he was still a real lyrical leggero tenor. And it was magnificent. And then he got that contract to sing all the heavy stuff, and he lost all that beautiful lyric stuff. That Jonas Kaufmann had that when he was took Fritz Wunder's place singing Mozart, and he was like the best Mozart singer in the world. And all of a sudden, he got world famous overnight. Then he started singing heavy stuff. When you sing the heavier material, the heavier repertoire, all of a sudden this wants to do this. And when it does that, all of a sudden, you get a resonance that nobody can hear over the orchestra well. These boys don't care anymore like they used to. I sang the bass in college, and I sang with tracheal resonance. You sing, Once you do that, nobody can hear you. And nobody could hear me when I did it either. So I'm going to go. As long as you've got breath, you can still crescendo. Now, what percentage of that should I be using for performance? See, this is a great question. Take a huge breath. Go. What percentage of that? That's my dynamic range. What percentage should I be using for performance? See? Is that enough? That's about a third, right? In other words, do I need more than that? Guess what? If I need more than that, I shouldn't sing the bow. I'm 82 and I can still fool around and make all this sound and have a lot of fun. I sing all day, every day, and I just have such fun doing it. I wish you all the fun I'm having, because it really doesn't have to be torture. It's just a biomechanical process with the musical ear, and if you can get those, if you've got those things, everything else is breathing. You got to learn to breathe. I'm telling you, you got to breathe, you got to breathe, you got to breathe, and when you're tired, then you breathe again, and you keep sucking. The sucking in, Caruso called it the massive power of the respiration. Required, that was his great word, required. The massive power of the respiration required for great singing. And Manuel Garcia said, the superabundance of the breath required for great singing. In other words, everybody you talk to talks about breathing, and not just breathing, but the superabundance of it, or the massive power of the respiration. And then Caruso later in his book talks about the power of the respiration to hold the throat open. I've got a megaphone back here, but it's not made of plastic or metal. It's made of flesh, and it's not rigid, and it's not going to hold its shape just because I want it to. So I have to breathe to go. And I breathe vertically, and my megaphone goes like that. Now I must maintain the power of the respiration to keep it open. See? So I have to breathe like mad and go, or do some kind of what Lily Lemon called the breath stop. The breath is exhaling, and I stop it. The breath is inhaling, and I stop it. The idea is if I do a hiccup, I get that's on the hiccup. So it's all about breathing and breath function and stopping the breath in a place that does not affect the throat negatively. By negative, I mean flexing, tension. You don't do anything that causes anything. You're supposed to be tongueless, jawless, and throatless. So my tongue is like that. You understand? And the more breath I have, the longer I can do it, and the better I can do it, and the longer I can hold those phrases and make effects. I always tell everybody to listen to Caruso's Una Furtiva Lagrima recording from 1904, where he does all those crescendos and decrescendos, right? you realize what it takes to do that. It takes tremendous breath development to be able to do that. See? So I hope this is something to think about, and you can do all the vowels, practice all the vowels. I go. And you get so you can play around with it. Conductors love you if you do it. Everybody loves you if you do it. The best, in modern times, probably Corelli had tremendous control of his upper voice. The best individual voice that I heard who could do that was U.C. Bierling's, because his voice was so radiantly beautiful. And then Tucker could sort of do it anytime, anywhere, on any note, and really great. So, and Delmonica could only do it in a desperate death scene in the opera, but he could still do it. So we have to find out what you can do, and you have to be very, very much an individual and do it with what you have. What equipment do you have? If you don't have enough breath, start swimming a couple of miles every day. Play a wind instrument or a brass instrument. You know, G played saxophone, Martinelli played clarinet, Nikolai Gurov played trombone and clarinet. Caruso and Franco Corelli were ocean swimmers. Kirsten Flogstad was a long-distance swimmer in the lakes in Scandinavia. Joan Sutherland and Nellie Melba were both ocean swimmers. Now, you think it's just a coincidence that all these people breathe like this? It's so exaggeratedly for a year, for a lifetime. Some of them for a lifetime. Well, they end up with a kind of prowess in their breath system that can only be described as enviable. It's fantastic, because then you can do anything. And by the way, the voice doesn't, remember, the diaphragm is the biggest muscle in your body. So if you develop it, it gets stronger and stronger, and the more you use it, stronger it gets. So a lot of singers they get old and they can still sing. I like to consider what I do singing, and perhaps I'm fooling myself, but I'm having a wonderful time. A lot of fun. Hope you all can fool yourself at least that much, because it's really fun. See? Okay. So give it a try. You can always write me if there's a question. It's a long, slow process, but start now. Don't wait. Start now. And you won't believe what you'll do. Held Grosvanger did 3 hours of yoga for 55 years. The result was he could sing anything. Anything. You name it, he could sing anything. I met him when he was 69. He nearly blew the walls down. His voice was phenomenal. See? But even Melchior had his Halla, halla, and then you could back off. Halla, halla, ein Weib sah ich, wonnig und hier, entzückend bangen, zehrt mein Herz. You can use it all over the place. Like there's a 45-minute duet in Tristan and Isolde's second act, where it's all mezzo voce for the tenor. You better learn how to breathe if you're going to do that stuff. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye.